Hello everyone, my name is Toon, the Chief Investment Officer of Asia Pacific Equities at RHB Asset Management. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. In this podcast, we will provide a brief update of the vaccine situation and how this might impact the global economies and the investment markets over the next few quarters. Since the first cases of COVID-19 were first identified at the start of 2020, pharmaceutical companies globally have raced at unprecedented speed to develop safe and effective vaccines to help stop the spread of COVID-19. According to the World Health Organization, there are now more than 250 vaccine candidates, with more than 70 in clinical trials, of which around 15 are in advanced clinical trials or have been approved. The speed at which vaccines have been discovered is remarkable. Developing a vaccine would typically have taken 5 to 10 years. But now, as a result of many different institutions working together, it has taken just a year for mankind to discover a handful of COVID-19 vaccines. We would like to highlight a few key vaccines that have made the biggest impact. For example, the Pfizer vaccine is already being used in 66 countries, while the AstraZeneca and Moderna vaccines are being used in 50 and 28 countries respectively. More and more countries are also approving and using the vaccines from Russia and China. Notably, these newly discovered vaccines have been found to be highly effective against the COVID-19 virus. For example, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have efficacy rates of around 95%, while quite a handful have efficacy rates of more than 80%. In comparison, the typical flu vaccines only have an efficacy of 40 to 60%, while the mumps vaccines has an efficacy of 88%. Currently, more than 230 million vaccine doses have been administered worldwide, equal to 3 doses for every 100 people. However, there is a stark contrast in terms of the geographical distribution of where these vaccines have been administered. In North America, around 12% of the population has been given at least a dose, while in Europe, around 8% of the population has received at least a dose. This compares to just 2% in Asia. By country, in terms of doses administered per 100 people, Israel is vaccinating its population faster than any other country, with 90% of its population receiving at least a dose. UK and US are ranked 4th and 5th globally respectively, with 30% and 21% of their population receiving at least a dose respectively. As vaccine doses remain relatively scarce globally, most countries have focused their early vaccination efforts on priority groups, like the older generation and frontline workers like doctors and nurses. In the next chart, let's look at the vaccination timelines of the different countries for their population to reach herd immunity. Herd immunity is expected to be achieved as more and more of the population gets progressively vaccinated through widespread public vaccination exercises. If all goes as planned, many countries will have herd immunity by the end of 2021 or by first quarter of 2022. It is widely hoped that herd immunity will be the first bridge for us to cross into some form of normalcy in the post-COVID-19 world. A key assumption here is that the current vaccines are effective against future variants of the COVID-19 virus. As such, we will definitely need to pay close attention to future mutations of the COVID-19 virus. As investors, we will be analyzing to see which countries will recover first to their pre-COVID-19 levels over the next few quarters. We expect countries in North Asia to recover faster than their ASEAN counterparts. In particular, ASEAN countries that are highly dependent on external trade and tourism will find it more challenging to recover to their pre-COVID-19 highs. It is also interesting to note that countries who can achieve herd immunity first will recover fastest to their pre-COVID-19 highs. As such, all these will have investment implications for investors as we seek to navigate in this post-COVID-19 normal. What is also interesting for us to observe over the last few quarters is that countries with the best health outcomes are the ones who also have had the best economic outcomes. So that should probably settle the initial debate, especially in developed countries over the course of last year, about whether priority should be given to saving lives or saving the economy. In conclusion, we believe that 2021 will be a year of recovery, but the speed and the path of the recovery will be highly uneven. As such, investors will need to be nimble and pick the correct stocks and sectors to successfully navigate 2021, especially in light of the valuations of the market now. With that, we have come to the end of our podcast. Hope everyone stays safe and healthy in your daily lives and in the market as well. Thank you very much for your time.